Hi, I'm Kevin Hill, and welcome to the new studio. Today we're going to do a beautiful little desert scene. I think it should be a lot of fun. And if you're enjoying these and you're looking forward to seeing this, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more painting videos. Alright, let's get started. Let's start today here with some yellow. Yeah, definitely starting with yellow. It's too late now. Alright, we're going to brush that right along what I think is going to be the horizon line. Something right along in that area. Also, as you'll notice here, I didn't overmix the color, so we've got random little bits kind of going on. And I like that. I think that just adds a little more visual interest to this area. Anyway, there you go. Let's start adding a little red to this, and we'll make it into a bit of an orange color. There we go. That's cool. Kind of vivid. Now, if you guys are standing here wondering, or sitting, I'm standing, you're sitting. If you guys are sitting there wondering, you know, what's going on here with this new studio, go check out last video, the previous video to this one, and you'll see. Kind of showed you how I went about designing this studio. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. I will obviously be looking at the feedback, and we can make changes as we go. This is not locked in. You know, this isn't necessarily what we're going to use for years. We may need to make some changes to it. We probably will. But it's a good place to start, you know. Cool. I'm gonna get some red up here maybe. Oh, these are crazy. That's actually really crazy. We'll take care of that one. There. Get a different brush. You don't want to use that brush. And we're gonna paint some blue up here at the top, but it's a very, very soft blue. Maybe a little red even in it. Yeah. That's good. And it'll go a little more blue as we go to that direction. Now it's time to paint in some of these little clouds here. So I've got just a nice gray. I'm kind of standing back so I can see the overall painting. That usually helps with clouds. There, see this kind of a soft gray. I've got actually a lot of different grays already mixed up and ready to go because I think I want a darker one over here. You know, I want a colder one. This painting has got a lot of blue in it today. It really does. Of course, I don't want green up here because that and that will get green. So we don't want that. Let me get some red. Good. Oh yeah, I like that red tone in there. It's actually pretty nice. So these clouds they're kind of free-flowing. It's not any real big deal. I'm just kind of dropping them in wherever. And we'll clean them up. I'm trying to reduce my sky down just a little. I don't want quite so much color. I want it more filled up with clouds. Only seeing the color through the negative space areas. So hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, at least it's starting to look pretty good, I think. We'll keep playing around with it. We definitely need a lot of adjustment. There's a little blue and black. Let's see what this blue and black does. Up here, see that? Get a little cooler. Lots and lots of variety. Now I've got a paper towel in one hand and my blender brush in the other, and we're gonna turn this kind of rough sky into something that's a little bit smoother and just a little more subtle, you know? Starting here at the bottom, I'm gonna just blend these hard edges away. Really wanna melt these down. I was very careful to make sure I've got some nice pinks going on right here at the bottom. There. Nothing too crazy. So you don't want green. So if you start seeing green, stop. Stop very quickly and put some red in that area. Now I'm gonna just take the filbert brush and place a lot of thick paint kind of to the left. There's about center, I'd say. Just to the left of center. Lots of thick paint. That makes it bright. Okay. Yes, it does. Take some white, and then go with a little white right there in the middle, and then that was just yellow and white, by the way, and then maybe just a little pure yellow right on the edges. Now that looks a little bit on the weird side, so I'm gonna take a detail round brush, make sure it's nice and clean. Just because you know you haven't painted with it today doesn't mean it's clean, so double check. Oh yeah, because the last thing you want to do is get up here and add, you know, green or blue from, you know, leftovers from the cleaning bucket up into this sky. That would be kind of sad. I'm going to leave this very thick, almost a little impressionistic, because what that'll do is create a nice contrast and a bit of a visual interest, although I don't think I'll leave it quite that thick. Here we go, taking just a little bit of it off. It doesn't need to be quite that thick to be that bright. but it does need to be somewhat thick. And then see how you can feather it off, just like that. There's very little paint down at the bottom, so it doesn't mix too badly. And there you have it. I spent, as you can see up there, I spent a little time. I even removed some clouds, just painted right over them with some blue. But now I think we finally got this sky worked out to where it's really pretty. Sometimes sunsets take a little playing around. You can't get them necessarily perfect with the first brush stroke. So now I'm just working on some mountains. I've sketched out some, well, these aren't mountains, that's like rock cliff. That's more like rocks. I guess that one's a mountain. That one I just used the sky colors. I don't even know what it was, but I grabbed something. So now I'm just going to work on this little cliff face here. Of course, using my reds and stuff. This is the desert after all, and it's sunset. There's two reasons to use reds in the painting, right? I also want maybe every once in a while, especially maybe on the right and on the left, kind of keep the middle warm, but on the right and on the left, I want to keep a couple of cool colors going, just for fun. And there's some umber. You know, I haven't put a lot of yellow ochre in this painting. I'm going to start doing that. And we'll get that in. I'm kind of going loose here with my colors, and honestly, this is kind of freestyle. We're just throwing it in. You really can't mess it up, so we won't worry about it, right? Just sit here and have fun, right? That's what you gotta do. Otherwise, you go crazy. I'm going to underpaint down here with similar but darker colors. So we've got more of the umber and the black kind of going. And that's good. And when you do this, because we already have our basic sketch, there's no reason to, to make things more difficult on yourself. If you see a shadow area, throw that shadow area in, but be very loose with your color so you don't get those, well, flat rocks. We don't want those flat rocks. If you guys are having trouble with rocks, we actually cover desert rocks even in our rock lesson. And you can either get that as the DVD or just download it. And of course, both options are available on the website if you'd like to go check it out. All right, that's looking decent. I'm kind of getting these geometric shapes. Obviously, this is backlit. We don't want a whole lot of light anywhere except for the edges. So just kind of keep that in mind. Where's my red? I gotta have some red in there. Oh yeah. Now we'll take a shop towel when I'm all done with this. I'm gonna wipe the entire thing off so there's just a stain on the canvas. Now I'm going to go ahead and begin underpainting what's going to be the land, with the little shrubs and the trees and all the cactus, all that stuff. But here's the thing, I'm going to be slightly careful. I know it's a little weird to be slightly careful at this point, but here's the thing is, I keep saying the same thing over and over again. Okay, yeah, it's one of those days. What I'd like to do, I would like to create the feeling of distant foliage and stuff on the ground without having to go back and repaint it a lot. So I'm using these small kind of overlapping strokes, almost like a comma stroke, but it's more of an X than that. Our traditional little commas, not so much. It's a little smoother than that. And the idea is I would love to get these little shrubs pretty well finished and defined just with this. I'm going to touch into my yellows and my greens, as we will have green in this painting. There's enough blue and enough purple, I think, to justify some green. And I think it'll play nicely off those warm colors. There. Yeah, it looks pretty decent, doesn't it? It's just the start. We can highlight this, but like I said, I kind of want it to look like little bushies before we get too far. All right, that looks good. Up here, we're gonna have some that are, I haven't even touched our sap green. Let me do that. Okay. Some that are kind of growing up on this rock face. It'd be good to get just a little background established for those, I think. Too much green will absolutely ruin this painting, but some I think is really gonna enhance the overall look. All right, there, and maybe definitely a shrub or something, a little desert bush. And see, I'm just kind of dabbing these larger ones. A bit of a desert bush there as something to catch your eye from flowing off the side. Cool. And highlight will go a long way to making those look better. Okay, we'll leave those because we got some other stuff to do in there. Back to the middle, and I'm just gonna kind of work forward slowly to create, well, not too slowly, but to create that form of the land. And as we go back, a little yellow ochre right up in here. I'm gonna get my strokes a little bigger, a little more modeled. This is down in a valley. We're standing here. This is fairly far away. And so we'll have a very short little saguaro cactus out there. Nothing too big. Now we're going into the shadows of the mountain. We need it very dark over here. That'll help with that sunset effect. A little purpley, dark purpley is good. You can do some desert bushes up on the mountain too, but don't get carried away. This is too far away for too much of this detail. We only need some. Now, although these are a final, foreground thing, I would love to get our saguaro cactus in right now. There, that looks pretty decent. Of course, I'm just using a filbert brush. I don't think there's any better shaped brush for the cactus, right? Now, I've spent quite a lot of time around these things, so I actually know kind of how they should look. And so I'm going to kind of put them where I want to, you know what I mean? But if you're not so sure, you should definitely, well, copy mine or get yourself a good photo, because they're definitely, and they kind of taper smaller as they get down toward the bottom. It's really kind of weird. But they definitely have a distinctive look, and they can go very cartoony very quickly. I like these kind of ragged edges that you get with the filbert brush, especially when it's been used a little. These aren't tree branches, so don't get too carried away with the hand bumping. I mean, I even see myself maybe doing it more than I should, but it's kind of a habit, isn't it? Now, this one, I don't want to go crazy with the arms. There, that looks okay, I guess. Maybe we'll do one that we are crazy with the arms, maybe right over there, or maybe just a single one. Quite a few of them are just singles, just one big stick. Good. And it doesn't really matter where you end them at this point because we have highlights and stuff, but I really want to get them established. A very warm brown. There's my palette. It's very messy, but I've kind of got a warm brown going. A little golden, yellow, I don't know, whatever. Doesn't really matter. And I'm thinking to the right of center, way over here somewhere. I would love to have a shorter one, but a bigger one. It's actually taller than the others, but it's shorter than the others because of the location. There. I like that, so that we've got our nice sunspot there, and then we've got this one to the right of that. It'll land right down here in the foreground somewhere. Just a little thicker. Cool, and now this one has all those arms, maybe 3 arms. They attach fairly low, like this. Nice. And they can actually come all out of, unlike a tree branch, you wouldn't really want to do this with a tree branch, but they all kind of come out of the same spot on the trunk. There. Yeah, that looks decent. And then just a couple of choice ones in the background. Let me just show you how I would do those. Kind of a long little bit, but these are important. So I would just lighten that color quite a bit, and you can just literally touch in what feels like a couple in the background. You can blend them if you need to. So now I'm gonna go ahead and brighten this mountain, these rocks. I don't know if it's a mountain or just rocks. Probably just rocks, but anyway. We're going to brighten these up quite a bit. And I'm gonna stick with my sharp angles to make it look like rocks. There, this is going on pretty nice, but if it's not, you can always wipe this area with a paper towel again if you've caked on too much paint from all of this. But I tried to keep that pretty low. There, that looks halfway decent, doesn't it? Maybe, I like how this is a little bit foggy up there. Maybe we'll try to keep that. All right, maybe There's enough of that. Let's go this way. Oh, there. I like that. Anyway, we'll play around with this. Not too bright on the inside, more bright on the left here. That makes more sense because of the way that the light's coming across. You can do a couple of little rocks just to indicate something's going on down in the desert floor down here. Now I sketched out with a light color where I wanted my rocks to be. So I'm going to just work at trying to get a little bit of detail in those rocks. Not too bright. In fact, that's a little bright. I'd like to go a little darker. There, that's halfway decent. Okay, as we kind of come into the rock, it gets even darker. Because this is very backlit, you don't want to go crazy. It'll make it look kind of weird. There. And as far as the bottom of the cactus goes, doesn't really matter. We can either repaint them or just paint around them. But fairly dark. Not so dark that it looks just like a blob up there. We don't want just nothing. We do want some, in the black dark areas, we do want some variation of subtle brown tones and some red and gold tones as well. So it's not just one color. There's many colors within that dark, because the dark's really pretty. And you don't want to lose the dark. It's what makes this cool, but you gotta be careful that it's not just one blob. Now I've got a lot of paint on the detail round brush, and I'm gonna kind of glop it on the edges of the rocks, just the farthest out edges. A little bit like a silver lining on a cloud, right? And you have to have a lot of paint. I can't even see the bristles underneath all that paint. Otherwise it won't come off bright. It'll come off kind of muddy. No, we don't want that. There. Go little bits at a time. And I'm going to try to wrap it right there around the corner, but I just love the way that looks. Kind of a dark-ish background, and then, oh, these jump right out against that. That is wonderful. I don't normally like to jump around in my paintings, you know. If I'm working on the rocks, I want to work on the rocks. But while I have this kind of silver lining stuff going on, I'd like to at least add it here to this big one. Now, this is like number one thing that drives me nuts, and not much drives me nuts, but this does. I put my highlight on the just underside of the dark. See, I still have a dark on the right. I want to see literally no dark on the right hand side. There we go. So that may mean that you have to come outside of the line. You know, you're not actually highlighting the right side of the cactus, you're actually highlighting the sky to the right of the cactus. Hope that makes sense, but that may be what it takes. As long as you don't get dark on the outside edge. Now I'm gonna go ahead and tap in a dark desert bush up here. And I've never tried this before, and I don't even know how I thought of it or why I thought of it, more like why I thought of it. I look at the brush and look at what's going on. I put a little bit of black on one end, and then kind of in the middle I stuck a mid-tone, and I went out and got some yellow ochre right at the tip. The yellow ochre's not coming off real well, but the rest of the colors seem to. And this is just kind of a way maybe to build some depth in the underpainting, because you don't want bushes that are just flat. And desert bushes you want kind of ragged, and that's why we're using a fan brush like this versus a filbert brush and trying to form them perfectly, you know. Yeah, and then a couple of what feels like just there, continuation of the land that way. That's important. Okay. Maybe just another bush right here. I don't know. Just something to try. It may not be a great technique, but hey, you gotta try. Otherwise, you never find out anything new. Okay. And then maybe one right down in here. Kind of frame out the bottom a little more. There. Not too much paint. So what I'm doing now is I'm actually removing some of it with my brush, kind of scooping it off there. And continuing with the fan, we'll see if this still works. I would like to just grab a little yellow, I don't know, and just start trying to give a little highlight, just using the top edge of the fan brush to give that, again, that ragged kind of glow. That's important. I might need to change to my normal filbert brush for this kind of thing, but I'm just trying something else. Trying to get a different, slightly different look, because these are desert bushes. I don't want them quite so nice looking. Gonna drop my brush. There. All right, well, I think we're done. I had a lot of fun. I hope you did too. Don't forget to check out our website, DVDs, and brush line. Thanks for watching.